Every investor calls themselves a long-term believer. Strong hands, diamond hands, never selling. But here's the problem. Conviction and stubbornness look identical until one of them destroys your portfolio. And most beginners can't tell the difference until it's too late. Here's how to separate them. Conviction is evidence-based. It means you hold an asset because the original reasons you bought it are still true. The network is still functioning, development is still active, usage is still growing. The structure that made it valuable is still intact. Conviction doesn't mean you'll never sell. It means you won't sell unless the evidence changes. Stubbornness is pride-based. The narrative shifts. Usage drops. Development slows. The thesis quietly breaks. But you hold anyway because selling feels like admitting you were wrong. That's not a strategy. That's avoidance dressed up as patience. Crypto makes this confusion worse than any other market. Because early holders of Bitcoin and Ethereum became wealthy by holding through pain, that story gets repeated constantly. What doesn't get repeated is the thousands of investors who held projects with the same conviction projects that never came back. Survivors tell the story. The losses stay quiet. So how do you know which one you're doing? 3 questions. Question 1. Is your original thesis still true? Go back to why you bought. Was it the technology, the team, the use case, the adoption curve? Is that still happening? If yes, that's conviction holding. If no, that's stubbornness hiding. Question 2. Do you have update rules? This is the one most investors skip entirely. Before you buy any asset, you need to know what would change your mind. What specific evidence would tell you the thesis is broken? If your honest answer is, nothing could change my mind, that is not conviction. That is ideology. And ideology has no place in capital allocation. Question 3. Has valuation drifted beyond reason? Even the strongest assets can become bad investments at extreme prices. Conviction in Bitcoin as a network does not mean Bitcoin at any price is a good buy. Conviction in the asset and conviction in the price are 2 different things. Confusing them is expensive. Here's what real conviction actually looks like in practice. Bitcoin holders faced 80% drawdowns multiple times. The ones with real conviction weren't holding because of pride. They were holding because the network kept functioning, development kept moving, and institutional adoption kept growing. The evidence kept justifying the position. The moment that evidence had broken, real conviction would have exited. Stubbornness would have stayed. Ethereum showed the same pattern. Infrastructure expanded, developer activity grew, real applications built on top of it. Conviction was continuously re-earned by new evidence, not declared once and defended forever. Now compare that to the projects that collapsed. Holders stayed not because the evidence supported it, but because they had told their friends they believed in it. Because they had built an identity around the asset. Because selling felt like losing. That's the trap. When your investment becomes part of your identity, you've stopped investing and started protecting your ego. Real conviction is actually flexible. It holds through volatility because volatility doesn't change the underlying structure. But it exits when structure breaks without hesitation, without drama, without needing the price to validate the decision. That combination, holding through noise, exiting on signal, is rare. And it's what separates investors who compound capital from investors who trap it. Before your next hold decision, ask yourself honestly, am I holding because the evidence still supports this? Or am I holding because I don't want to be wrong? Those 2 answers lead to very different outcomes. Subscribe to CryptoVista for frameworks like this every week. CryptoVista. Clarity over chaos.